What's going on, everybody? Patrick here with Red 6 again. This week we got something really cool for you. I'm going to do a full walk around and a build breakdown on our 1973 Dodge Charger. Here it is here. So this is a kind of getting a version 2 on it right now, as you guys may know. So this is a running driving car. We pulled the engine out to do a little bit of a refresh, change some stuff in the valve train so that it can rev higher, which was always the long-term goal on it. But for the original break-in period, we wanted things a little bit different. Figured while we were taking that apart, we were going to repaint it, change some stuff on it. It's got a new McLeod clutch. So that's why it's blown apart. This car's going to be back running in about the next week or two. But I wanted to do a walk around on it and tell you guys all about it. So, car itself, 1973 Dodge Charger SE. There was no RT in 73. The SE was the highest trim level you could get. There was some certain stuff you could get if you checked the right boxes that made it sort of RT-esque. Certainly by 73, the smog era was in full effect. The cars from the factory didn't make that much power compared to they did a few years earlier, but the potential is there all the same. So this car is a numbers matching 440 big block. The engine's been completely rebuilt with higher compression pistons, completely forged rotating assembly, 440 source aluminum heads. It's got an MSD ignition on it. It's got a big old camshaft from Comp. It's a fairly mild engine. There's more that could be done. This is an engine that makes 415 horsepower at the wheels, so that's just north of 500 at the crank. Revs to 6,000 RPM, which is pretty high for a big block, and it makes a ton of torque. So this makes this car a really, really fun car to drive on the street and the track because, surprisingly, it's actually not that heavy. This car only weighs about 3,300 pounds. So there's just not a lot to it. So a lot of people think that the old cars weigh a lot, and in some ways they did, but there's just a lot of empty space here. And part of what made these cars so heavy was the big front bumpers they had. This is now fiberglass. So the car's not been totally gutted. It still has a full interior. It still has power brakes via Hydro Boost. It's got power steering. It's not a completely gutted race car. We wanted the car to still be easy to drive and fun to drive fast. But we got rid of stuff that's not needed. Like I said, fiberglass bumper, that saved close to 200 pounds. Fiberglass rear bumper back there, that saved about another 80 pounds. There was a big old rear taillight section. Fiberglass hood saved about another 80 pounds. That alone, you're talking several hundred pounds there, plus all the interior. So I'll kind of pop in here. No outside door handles on this, as you guys may have noticed. So you open it from the inside. Got a moving blanket up here, protect it as the fiberglass hood sits on there. Everything gets dusty in here. So here's the interior. So this is probably my favorite part of the car, is this custom aluminum dashboard. Just really nice and slick. It's got moon eyes gauges in it, which I think are really cool and period correct to the 70s. Got a switch panel over here with a push button start. Main cutoff switch, so it's legal for most forms of racing. You can reach in from either side to be able to shut the car off. This here is the GPS sensor for the speedometer, so we didn't want to mess around with calibrating the speedo, getting the right gear on there and all that. This is a GPS unit, works awesome. It syncs instantly, like you wouldn't know it's GPS, and it's dead on the money every time. Change gears, change tires, none of it matters. The speedo is still where it should be. It's awesome. That's one of my favorite parts of this car. It's even got lights up here, so we've got a light here in the center that turns on when the car's hot. Turn signal lights. Yes, the car has turn signals. Light here that tells you when the electric fan is on. And here is a warning light if the oil pressure gets too low. Has a working parking brake. Has pro car seats. Still has a rear seat. This center section of the roll bar comes out. Just has one bolt on either side. So this is really user friendly. If you want to put somebody in the back seat, you can. The rear seat's still there. It's nice and comfortable. It's a full interior car. I mean, yes, it doesn't have windows, but it still has carpet. It still has all the gauges, all the seats. It's nice and finished looking in here for the most part. Really, this is something that we put a lot of effort into, along with these door panels here. These are totally custom. The lower half is the original door panel from the car from 73. The upper half, this is a piece of aluminum wrapped in black vinyl with aluminum 1-inch strips on there to hold it down, and then this we filled in with sheet metal where the windows used to go, and you can hear there with the door closing. It closes nice and solid. So no door handle on the outside, no door lock there anymore. See, this is a custom made 4-point roll bar. It's not really roll cage when it's 4-point, We think we may add diagonals eventually that go down. We don't think it's necessary. The main thing on this car is just to keep it somewhat safe. This is a time attack car. It is not going to see any kind of wheel-to-wheel racing. Yes, time attack can still be dangerous. Yes, you go to Willow Springs and you go off track. Yeah, you can get into some trouble. But we felt like that is adequate for what it's doing. Car, we feel pretty safe. Seatbelts are temporary. These are not, I do not like these seatbelts. No disrespect to that company, whatever they are. Yeah, I think these are made for like a UTV, kind of a misunderstanding, miscommunication. They do the job for now. They do not work with a Hans device. So those are going away. We're gonna put some Schroths or Simpsons or something in there. Got ourselves, this is our fuel cell. Factory fuel tank hung down below underneath. That's obviously gone now. Can't see a whole lot underneath there. It's dark, but this is where it would have been originally. There you see the 8 3/4 differential. That's original to the car. For now, it has KYB shocks on it. It will eventually be getting Strange or similar double adjustables. The wheels for the street are US mags, 10-inch wide wheels with a 275/60/15. It's 28 inches tall. This is our street setup. Works great for the street, never rubs, performs decent. What the big thing is that you don't want, for a car like this, I feel like you don't want too sticky of a tire for the street. And that's because if you have too sticky of a tire, that's when you break things. You know, when you're on the street, you're cruising around having a good time, you want to be able to hit the throttle, light the rear tires up, you know, make some smoke. So we have tires on there that kind of do the job. They're sticky enough to have some fun around a corner, but you can light them up anytime you want to. This is actually a pretty good tire. Getting a 275/60/15 is tricky nowadays. BFG makes that tire that everybody uses. I don't actually really care for that tire that much. I think it's too expensive for what it is, for just running around the street. I like these Galaxy radials okay. My preferred tire is the Cooper Cobras. I had those on my Cordoba years back. I thought that was a great tire at this size point. But we are going to be putting some different tires on here that are for the track. We're going to be putting some Hoosiers on here. They're a vintage stock car tire. So really excited to get those. We've got them on order. They're coming soon. And they'll be on there with some wheels that are to be determined, but probably some sort of a steel Arrow or Bassett, similar NASCAR type of wheel. Let's see what else. We've got, these cars never came with a front splitter, front spoiler, front air dam. That is, I believe, from a Super B, from an earlier, I think the style is designed off of a Super B, but that is, I think, an aftermarket piece that is specific for a 73 Charger. Makes the car look a lot nicer. I'm a big fan of how that looks. Then the big thing is the suspension. You guys saw it in a video a couple weeks ago. Got Wilwood 4-piston calipers on the front. With the biggest rotor we can stick underneath a 15-inch wheel. Along with that, we have some tubular upper control arms. These are actually designed for use on a super late model circle track car, but all it is a matter of measuring where you want your ball joint in relation to your cross shaft here, and that's what we did. The nice thing there is that we can have shelves of these things, and we can do camber and caster adjustments by simply swapping the upper arm. If you run out of adjustment here in the slotted holes, you throw a new arm on there, and you can make those adjustments really easily because it'll just move the ball joint in or out, forward and back. So this is just an off-the-shelf, super late model piece there. Lower arm is stock because it holds the torsion bar in place on these cars. It has been welded underneath. See that there? For strength. Tie rods are stock for now. These will be getting eventually a custom-made Heims joint setup with an adjustable turnbuckle in the middle. Similar, in a way, to the strut rods here. That started life as a stock strut rod. It now has a Heims joint and a clevis at the end rather than a big rubber bushing. So this can now articulate up and down smoothly without having to be in a bind like the rubber bushings are stock. This is a much better setup. Basically creates a lower A-arm, which is how a performance car needs to be. It needs to be pivoting on both ends, at the front rod and the rear rod, if you will. Lower control arm and strut rod in this case being two separate units. When you mount it this way, it basically makes them into one solid one with a pivot on each end. Sway bar is a Hotchkiss piece that's actually designed to be used on an E-body, Challenger or Cuda. We custom made some brackets here off the lower control arm with a Heims joint. We have not tested that yet. It should work, no reason it shouldn't, but might get some adjustments here and there, but everything looks good on it. It's nice and parallel to the strut rod. No issue with frame clearance, should be good there. Torsion bars are a gigantic, like 1 1/4 inch unit. Those are those red things here on the ground. So they're not in the car yet since the engine's not in the car. They're huge. They are stiff. The car still body rolls a little bit. That sway bar is going to help out a lot. Exhaust, you can't really get a good feel for it here. They're actually swapped side to side. They should be other way around. This is the H-pipe crossover where they mount up to the headers. And then on the back, we have dual exit boom tubes. So it goes into 2 mufflers per side. We didn't want this car crazy loud. It will eventually be getting some cutouts right here, like my slippers. These are my shop slippers, really nice. We'll eventually be getting some cutouts there so that if we're at tracks that don't have decibel limits, or if you're just wanting to be a nuisance, you just hit a switch, pop those open. But for the most part, we wanted it to have a good tone, sound good, be loud, but I'm not, as I get older, cars that are crazy loud interest me less and less. So that is what that's about. This is the A833 Trans. This car wasn't automatic originally. This is out of some other Mopar. I don't know what it's out of, but that's the pretty standard 4-speed Mopar Trans. Engine, which we already went over. Got a few new bits on it. We've got a new water pump insert. This is the housing. The water pump itself goes in the front. We have a new one that should move a little bit more water. We did have a little bit of overheating problems before, nothing crazy, but we felt like it could be better. That, along with, we now have a remote oil filter going right there. That's where the oil filter would normally be. Mopars have an external oil pump. That's what this is. The oil filter normally goes here. We replaced it with this unit that will allow us to then run oil from there to a remote mounted filter, which means we can run a much larger filter, from the filter to a cooler, and then from the cooler back into the oil pump. So that should make things a lot nicer. There, it's got a Millen road race oil pan. This nice new McLeod clutch, which we're really excited about. Our last clutch did not last very long. And I think that pretty well covers it. That's a lot of information in a short amount of time. But there's a lot of little things on this car that you probably wouldn't even notice, and I probably missed. Sucking in the front bumper was really difficult. It was a lot of work to make that front bumper fit in there. No drip trays, drip rails on this car. This has all been filled in. No side marker lights whatsoever, obviously. Things like the interior door lights. Huh. They do work. Oh, there's no battery in this one. Those work. When you open the door, the lights turn on. Battery's obviously not hooked up right now. And Borgeson quick ratio steering box. Wilwood master cylinder, hydro boost, like I said. Does that cover it? Is that everything? This car's been a project for ages. And we drove it around for the last year. Immediately saw some stuff that we thought could be better, which is why it's pulled apart again. That's every good project car should be that way. If you put it together right the first time, I feel like you're not trying hard enough. If it's a show car or something, or it's a cruiser, that's fine. But if it's a car that you are going to take to the track, there's always things you can do better. So this probably is not the last time it'll get pulled apart, but hopefully it's the last time the engine comes out of the car for quite some time. So that is our 1973 Dodge Charger. And in the next few weeks here, it'll be back running again. We meant to put the engine in today, but we found a fun thing that the engine compartment is so long on this car. You can see how much space there is from the radiator core support to the bumper. It is so long that the engine hoist from the chain mount back to the ram is not long enough. The engine, we can't get the engine in the car because we cannot get the engine pushed back physically far enough. So you're wondering, how do we get the engine out of the car then? I don't know. We use the same stuff, but it's not working. So just a situation where we're talking matters of fractions of an inch, and we were able to probably just kind of hook it up and pull it against itself a little. So we're trying to figure out an easy way to get it in there without having to take the front bumper off. If we have to take the front bumper off, we will. But that's what held it up. Otherwise, this video was going to be us putting the engine in the car today. But that will have to wait a week. So you're going to get a lot of Charger content here in the near future. So we appreciate you tuning in. As always, that's the build breakdown of this 1973 Dodge Charger. And like I said, we do use this car, and it is going out to Willow Springs here in the next few weeks. And I'll take you guys right along when we do. Thank you again for tuning in. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. Share with your friends. We're still trying to build this channel so I can use all your support. And then if you want to buy a t-shirt, that would be really cool. We've got them coming in. They're actually due to arrive today. So pre-orders are going to start shipping out right away. I do have a few left over. So head over to the website, red6.design. check it out, buy some stuff. We'll be able to get it out to you in about a week or two, hopefully. So see what you like, leave a comment down below if there's something you want to see us do, and we'll see you next time.